with his Blue show. Feels a bit weird, this chap's the first one in how long? 12 months? 11 months? Something like that?
A long time.
Much longer for me.
I tell you one thing, we weren't triple winners by that time, were we? Crikey, We've done well since last time we did this show, guys. Wow.
No, European Cup was a pipe dream last time we talked.
God, yeah, I'd love to go back in time and have a look into a couple of the stories from the old Champions League games and just to see what was going on and what was happening and everything on those lines. It'd be absolutely bizarre. But hey, listen, we've got an agenda. We've got a bit of time. We're going to break this up into two little shows. We'll have a little break in between. And Dave, where do you want to start tonight, pal? Because I feel like there's so much to talk about. We could probably be doing several shows from this.
I mean, I think it's got to be Istanbul, right? I mean, it's the biggest moment in City's history. I mean, it really is. We've had plenty of big moments, but surely that's got to be the biggest. First one in our history. Hopefully, the first of many.
Really has.
Bumping into you on the street in a city of 13 million people, and I literally bump into Tom on a street in Istanbul. It
was bonkers. Literally walked out my hotel. I can't remember where I was going. I was probably going to the bar. My kidneys have taken some absolute battering since that game.
Yeah.
But that was bizarre. Just walking down the street, they're just like, "That's Dave and his son."
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we couldn't have planned it any better. To be fair, could we?
No. What an experience. What a day. What a night. Just from minute landing there was just absolutely insane. Every second of it.
Incredible. And I tell you what, Dan, I don't think I've seen two guys go for a beer as quickly as what we said. That's fine. Yeah, right. Yeah, I know, bar. Let's go. I won't do that. I won't do that at home.
Yeah.
For the rest of us unlucky few who couldn't afford tickets to go to Istanbul, I'll speak on the behalf of the majority who wish we were there, but no, it was outstanding on it, let's be honest. The whole occasion, the build up to it, we were all buzzing. Of course, we all had our pre-City game nerves hyped up to level a billion, but yeah, there wasn't anything a night like it, was it? It's strange because I remember clear like it was yesterday, our last podcast when we lost against Chelsea in the final a few years ago. Just to get rid of that, get rid of the non-Champions League wing hoodoo. We're here to stay now, boys. We're Champions League winners.
It's funny, isn't it? Because I want bank against us win it again this season, and that's the weirdest thing. I've kind of gone from the Yaya Toure curse has been lifted to it's time for a tsunami worth of trophies, please. And I mean, obviously, I don't want to be too overconfident because I'm not that type of fan, but I think once you've got that bug for winning, I just can't see us losing it. The only slight niggle we've got, we'll come on to a few things in a bit, is losing Gundogan and who's going to be the next captain, and potentially losing a couple of other players and who we're going to replace them with. But as long as we replace them with solid signings, and we still keep Pep's the catalyst for this, Pep's the key for this, and as long as we keep everything sort of okay behind the scenes, I can't see us not being favourites again. I mean, we must be favourites. We must be favourites again to win it again next season. What's your thoughts on speaking of Pep and him and staying and leaving, etc.? What do you think of his number 2 leaving? Do you think that'll affect us? I can't remember his name now. It's gone completely out of my mind.
Maresca.
Can't remember.
Yeah. I mean, it just seems to be that thing with Pep, doesn't he? He's lost, staff. Arteta. I've forgotten the guy's name who went to manage New York City FC. It seems to be okay. He's always got someone in his back pocket who we can bring in and help him out and understand Pep's philosophy of what he wants to do. And I'm happy for Maresca. I think it's interesting. He's brought in Big Willie as his number 2. He's already started bringing in, loan players from City as well. But I think it's just moving on again. I think he might bring someone in, and as long as, to your point, Tom, as long as Pep stays, I think we're okay.
Yeah, it's a funny one, isn't it? Because it's Pep's obviously the catalyst behind anything that goes from that. Should we jump straight into Elephant in the Room and Gundogan leaving? Not surprised he left. A little bit gutted he has left. I do feel like he still had plenty of in the tank for us, but you can kind of understand. He kind of done everything. Fresh challenge. My only issue is he didn't get like a hero's goodbye, did he, from the fans, which I think he would have deserved. But I'd say that it was not a bad game to leave on, to be fair.
No. There's nothing to say as well that, you know, we draw them in the Champions League, and, you know, he's gonna, you know, Barcelona are gonna come to the Etihad, and he will, like a lot of ex-City players, he will get a incredible reception back at the Etihad, in my opinion, because he deserves that. Tom, you're exactly right, and I don't begrudge anyone who wants to go play for Barcelona or Real Madrid, to be perfectly honest. That's every vast majority of professional players' dreams, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It is what it is.
Well, Zeko got a good ovation, didn't he, from us?
Yeah.
So, you know, I was quite happy with that happening and everything on those lines. But who's his replacement? Kovacic? You can't be, can it? Can he step into the plate straight away? Where are we thinking for who's going to play in his position every game? What options are we having?
Personally, I don't think we're going to miss him as much as we think we have. He's a fabulous player. I mean, we can go back a few years ago when we first started doing these podcasts. I always used him as a sleeping pill. I always thought it was boring as anything Gundogan. But my mind was just completely changed. He turned out to be the go-to man, wasn't he? He was almost like a midfield Aguero. Whenever you needed a goal, he was there to pop it in. I mean, was it a couple of years ago? He scored in the last 5 games in a row, and three out of them 5 were match-winning goals, and he's done the same this season just gone. So he is going to be a big character, but I don't personally think we're going to miss him as much as we do, because if you remember, we lost Phil Foden out from injury middle of this season, and he's not really come back all guns blazing, so he's going to be like a new signing compared to last season. Kovacic, I personally feel he's a really good player. I've been shot down many a time saying he's all this, he's all that, he's not that good. But you don't have to be good to play in this Man City team. You just have to be part of the squad. I could go into that midfield, and as long as I've got them players around me, I could look like a world beater. And I think that's the only thing Kovacic needs, because he is a solid out and out midfielder. And maybe he's just an under the radar signing like Manuel Akanji was.
Do you know what? I'm ashamed to say I've not seen enough of him to comment. I very rarely watch other players outside of the City bubble, but everything I've heard of him and the way he's presented himself on social media and leaving is quite impressive. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing him. I mean, let's face it, it's quite rare to get a signing wrong for Pep. So listen, it can only be a positive thing, can't it? Somebody fresh coming in and there's a bit of challenge. And it's bizarre the way he left Chelsea. Chelsea are in a weird situation, aren't they? I just can't get my head around Chelsea at the minute. Bizarre.
Yeah, not when they're buying even more players. It sounds like Caicedo is on his way there as well. Like how many 70, 80, 90, 100 million pound players do they need? How's Pochettino going to play all these players? I don't get it. I don't understand.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
There's a really, really good Chelsea team in there somewhere. It's whether Pochettino can figure that out.
Do you think United have got a good signing in Mason Mount?
Keep my reservations about that one. Let's just say I'm glad they spent that money on him and we didn't.
Oh, damn, that's him rifling a 30-yarder to the top corner now who said that, pal.
Yeah.
Oh.
Fair play to him. It's a move that, you know, I'm sort of going to enjoy because it's a new face that we can kick the living daylights in the derby now, you know. But no, it's in a way, I kind of liking the fact that other teams are spending money like Johnny Splattercash, and we're just keeping ourselves reserved. We've not lost a lot of players, i.e. Gundogan. I don't think we've lost anybody else. Cancelo maybe is on his way out. And we're not going all out and signing new players at the same time. I just feel that we're keeping our minds straight. We're not just thinking of any old player that we can just bring in. It is literally just targeting certain areas. There are talks like Laporte going out, Gvardiol coming in. Me personally, I don't understand that signing. I've had a good couple of rants with people on the page about it.
Yeah.
If you've got a world-class player, and I do, people have turned around and said he's not, but I do genuinely feel Laporte on his day is a world-class centre-back. He's proved he can do it in this league. He's only, 27, 28, so his centre-back age, that's nothing. I just don't understand why we're going all out for what everyone tells me. He's young. He's probably the best defender in the World Cup. Big whoop. Big whoop. He's young and he's the best defender. We've got a ready-made world-class centre-back who's hardly playing a game, and people are saying he wants out. The only reason he wants out is because he's not playing. Who in our back line are you going to get rid of to put Guardiola in? Ake, who had a world-class season. Akanji, world-class season. Diaz, Stones, Walker, Lewis, who's up and coming. João Cancelo left because he couldn't get the minutes. I don't understand the signing, so I'm kind of glad that's not happened yet. But I understand the Kovacic signing, and I'm happy with that one.
The only devil's advocate thing to say there is, and I agree with you to a certain extent, and there's got to be something else about. I mean, there's no confirmation.
You can say you disagree. It's fine.
There's no confirmation. I'm really on the fence with this because Laporte can do a job, and there's no, and I don't dislike him. And when he plays, it's not like, oh, here we go. It's nothing like that. There must be something in the background where, if he wants more game time, that's absolutely fine. Somebody like Guardiola's going to come in, and I think he's like for that replacement, just 5 years younger, 6 years younger, whatever it is, and he can pass, he can play, he can move forward.
Also £100 million less, more even.
But it depends how much we sell Laporte for. So we could even it out. I've stopped thinking about money when it comes to City players, to be honest, because I know we won't overspend. Look at the Declan Rice scenario. We won't batten down. We won't do a Chelsea and throw. We won't do a United and throw money at it, because we will certainly throw money at it. There's no question about that. But we won't pay anything more than what the market value is for the player. And I just think Laporte is. There's just something there. There's just the niggle there that tells me he will be leaving. But I don't think he'll leave on negative terms. I think he'll leave because Pep wants him to. I think he might leave because if he wants more game time somewhere, that's fine. And he'll go and he'll sell to Europe. I'm surprised Barcelona or somebody like that haven't gone in for him, to be honest, saying that they probably can't afford him, can they?
Saudi at this rate.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, let's make sure we'll definitely get enough money for him then to sign Guardiola, don't you? And I think the biggest thing that any player coming in or going is you just got to trust Pep, haven't you? My days of questioning Pep are well gone, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Is that a bad
Long
thing?
gone.
Yeah, it's a weird one, isn't it? I don't know about Guardiola. Yeah. I'm looking for. I love a new signing coming in, but I don't want to unsteady the ship that's just won us the treble too much. And if we need to get rid of one or two players, if who's gone out of the team already? So we got Gundogan's gone. Who else has gone?
That's it.
Is that it at the minute? Well, actually, if that's not bad. So somebody's one of the people on the fans page has asked the question, and it was Anthony Rawson. I think Anthony Rawson is the ginger wig. The guy that sells all the stuff at the markets and online.
Yes.
Yeah, cracking lad. I think it is. Yeah, looking at his page. And hi, Anthony. And he's asked the question: if we only go into this season with the players we've got now, would you be happy? Cracking question. That's a brilliant question, Anthony. And do you know what? Yeah. I think I would. If we've only lost Gundogan and replaced him, and we brought in Kovacic. Is it Kovacic? Yeah. It's not bad that. Who would you want to bring in or take out? Dan?
I definitely want another attacking midfielder. I think Foden is more of a winger now. I don't think he can hack it in centre of the play. Gundogan was that all-out midfielder. He could do defence, he could do attack. Stones is coming into more defensive midfield. Then we've got Stones, Rodri, and Phillips now. Phillips is going to be like a new signing, hopefully, after this one season. Pep wonder season ends. Hopefully, he'll be a good player. I just feel we are lacking in the centre of the park. If De Bruyne gets injured, yes, we can maybe bring Bernardo Silva in, but is Mahrez up for taking over the right? Alvarez, I don't think he can cover attacking mid. I think he is just a really good striker who's just obviously stuck behind the world's best striker at the moment. I'm not on about maybe like a £50+ million signing, but just someone who can come in, who can easily go into the team and just work a magic. They don't even need to be relatively young, sort of like a Kovacic age. I just don't think Kovacic is a really good attacker. I think he's just a good midfielder. I'd just prefer to see an attacking midfielder come in, and I think would be structurally sound.
So you mean an attacking midfielder, Dan, or do you mean a playmaker? You mean someone who
playmaker is probably
does the right ball?
Yes,
So I
yeah,
think
yeah.
a lot of that is dependent on Bernardo Silva. I think it's crazy to think that we would sell him for 60 million to Saudi Arabia, and I don't think that he's 28. Why would he want to go to Saudi Arabia at this stage of his career? Like, we've got a European Super Cup to play for in the next few weeks. We've got a Club World Cup for the first time ever. And Bernardo Silva surely wants to play in those competitions and win those, and maybe in a couple of years think about going. So to your point, Dan, I think that's possibly what's going to happen. It looked like last year that maybe Foden was being primed to take over De Bruyne, that position of being that visionary of looking around. But right now, if you were to say, well, if De Bruyne's not playing, you'd want to put Bernardo Silva there because he's got the experience and he is one of the best players in the world. I think 60 million is absolutely laughable. If Rice is 105, for me, Bernardo Silva is no less than 150.
The idea of Bernardo Silva leaving makes me feel ill.
Yeah,
that's not an exaggeration. What a player he is. I'd be devastated if he left.
Yeah, he set up the goal.
You know what I'd like to see in the team rotation-wise? In fact, I'd probably change my mind in who I want to sign now. In fact, I know a player I'd love to sign on the way to work. I'd love to see Jackie Boy in the centre of the park. I think he could become world class in the centre of the pitch. Put Foden out on the left, and as a backup winger, Harvey Barnes. He's Premier League ready. He can play on both wings. I'm not saying he's world class, but we can certainly get him on the cheap. English lad. I reckon he'd be a right signing. It allows Jack Grealish to move into the centre of the park, where I've noticed out on the left he becomes very isolated now. He's great on one-on-one, but I think he could add a lot more to his game if he was pushed centrally.
Is he not gone to Newcastle?
Who's
I think they've
that?
offered 35 million, haven't they? Newcastle, I think him, I think them, West Ham, maybe one other.
Right. So let me ask you this question. You've put City in the likes of West Ham and Newcastle for signings there. Would you not be looking for Chelsea's, Barcelona's, Real Madrid type people?
Nobody wanted Manuel Akanji, and he was one of the best centre backs in world football last season.
Fair point. That's a good point.
That's all I can say to that. I guarantee someone will come up and say, "Well, this guy was better, and nobody wanted him." But
he's not got the microphone, though, has he? You have.
But maybe, I don't think that's a good thing either. But it's one of them. Any player comes in now, I don't expect him to be bad. They can have a horrific, like Nathan Ake, another prime example, from a relegated Bournemouth side for 40 million. Another one of the best players in the league last season. My days of questioning if a bad player is being signed are out the window. I'll give him a season. Maybe not Phillips. He's still got a lot to prove on me, but I'll give him a season now. Do
you know what you're talking about? Wanting a bit more. I mean, if Bernardo goes, we'll 100% need another option because we got Grealish.
Yeah, we will.
Grealish, Foden, De Bruyne, haven't we? Cole Palmer. How much game time is this lad going to get? If you're looking to sign Harvey Barnes, would you not rather just play Cole Palmer and give him time?
I think his City days are over.
Yeah.
I think he's a good player, but he's not City calibre. I've never really truly thought it. He can score a good goal. We saw that last season in Champions League. I just don't think he's a City player. He's a 6'2" winger. You don't get many wingers, that's all.
Is he 6'2"?
I'm sure he's 6'2".
Crikey. Big lad, Cole.
Oh, lad.
Yeah, that's why I was saying, like, when they were doing a bit of argy-bargy with the Spanish players with him at the weekend, I'm like, that's the last player, you're like, a Wythenshawe lad. I would not be pushing Cole Palmer. Absolutely not.
And I do want to say he is a good player before anyone shoots me down saying, "Oh, well, you undermine it." I just don't think he's City level. I don't think he ever will be.
Wow.
Right, couple more questions. Let's So Kimberly Shaw's mentioned Bernardo Silva rumours, and do we believe we stick to the same level of winning the treble, to win the trophies? We'll basically focus on the Champions League, European Cup, Community Shield, World Cup. So basically, do we stick at the same level? Do we still go with that mentality of winning absolutely everything? Yeah, 100% we do. I don't think there's any. I don't know necessarily in my mindset if Pep went out to go and win the treble. Yeah, he'll probably play each game to win each game. I know. Would Pep woke up like back beginning of last season, thought, you know what we're going to do this year? We're going to go out and win absolutely everything. I think his mind was purely on the Champions League, and anything else was a bonus in my mind. Darren Madden, was Jerry Creaney the fattest player ever to play for City? No, Darren, that was Jamie Pollock.
I tell you what, I mean, it wasn't exactly.
Sorry, Jamie.
Tom.
Sorry, Jamie.
It wasn't exactly fat, Tom, but Andy Morrison was a stocky
And
fella.
tell you
let's
what,
be
you
honest.
wouldn't say that to his face, would
And
you?
I would not say that to his face.
He's doing great at the minute. He's managing North Wales Club, isn't he? He's doing really well.
Yeah, is it Oswestry?
I can't remember. I see him on Twitter every now and then. I'll make sure he gets a copy of this message from you, Dave. Say that you're in America.
He had a rugby league man's body. Playing football.
Was it Jamie Pollock that scored that own goal at Main
Yeah.
Road? He chips it over one player and
From about 25
headed it
yards.
over the keeper. Oh, it's phenomenal. That's when I looked at my dad and was like, what's going on? What have you brought me to? What is going on? Paul Glennon wants to talk about Pep's backroom staff. I feel like we've covered that, or lack of it. I think Pep will have something in mind about what to do. There'll be somebody somewhere.
Apparently, Juan Manuel?
He was in Fawlty Towers.
Yeah.
That old dude that left about 2 years ago, he was Pep's number 2.
Oh, right.
He's apparently on his way back.
If you're going to bring, here's a question for you then. If you're going to bring in a youngish ex-footballer with Pep's sort of mentality for football and Arteta-esque type midfield, just attacking midfield, there must be a couple of managers out there or semi-coaches that must be able to take on the batter.
I was just about to say the same thing.
Zabaleta.
I think he would be phenomenal, because I think as well I really rate Alvarez. 12 months ago I was raving more about Alvarez than I was Haaland. I was more excited because I knew what Haaland was going to bring, and I think Alvarez was a bit of an unknown entity, but having watched him, I knew how good he was going to be. I want him to get more game time this season coming up, and God, it'd be great if Zabaleta came back, absolute legend, and just put his arm round Alvarez and make sure he gets that game time, because I don't want Alvarez going anywhere. I'm kind of hearing rumours already. Didn't I see something the other day that Arteta is going to do a £65 million bid for Alvarez? And
yeah, right. I saw Bayern Munich are having him as a number 2 option to Harry Kane, which is not. He's not leaving City. No chance.
Well,
just
to be
rumours.
fair, someone came in for him middle of last season, didn't they? They offered a thing, and he signed a contract the day after.
Who else? Duncan Ferguson. He left Forest Green. He could come in.
Duncan Ferguson.
Duncan Ferguson.
Duncan Ferguson. Did I hear that right? David.
Oh, dear.
You've had too much sun.
Yeah, probably. I'm trying to think. That for me would be. I'm with Dan. I think Zabaleta all day long.
Zabaleta's a great shout. Right, next question. Steve Betts, after the treble, what makes a successful season this time around? That's a brilliant question, Steve. What's a successful season? For me, it's winning the Premier League. I want to win the Premier League.
4 in a row.
4 in a row. 4 Premier Leagues. Yeah. Sorry, I was thinking trophies then in my head, but yeah. No, sorry.
4 in a row. But surely. This is what I was saying a few minutes ago about Bernardo and really Pep, the club as a whole. We want to win this European Super Cup because we've never won it before. We want to win the Club World Cup because we've never won it before. Then really establish ourselves as, honestly, we are the best team in the world. So I think for me, 4 in a row, European Super Cup, Club World Cup.
Are you?
If we won those 3, I'd be happy.
I had a very in-depth conversation with my wife a few weeks ago about going to Athens. It basically ended up saying if I go to that, I'm going back and she's not going to be here. So I don't think I'll be going to that game. I think we're going to Wembley, going to Istanbul, and a few other lad things away. It was just kind of like, yeah, I'd probably better leave the Athens game and just happy with a season ticket. Crikey, I thought she understands that, but yeah, it's one of them. And also, that's a Wednesday night, which is rubbish. In fact, we're gonna come on to the boycott, the Charity Shield, but on a Wednesday night for a trophy competition is ridiculous. Do you remember the Champions League being on like a Wednesday and Thursday night? I seem to remember United playing Barcelona on like a random Thursday. which was
I remember that.
ridiculous. When Barcelona, that was Pep's Barcelona. That was Pep's Barcelona as well when he beat them, I think, if from memory. Right, I want to move on to Charity Shield. There's a lot of people have been talking about this and the fans boycotting. I got a ticket yesterday. I got a text message yesterday saying tickets have gone on sale, and I'm seeing that there's not been a massive uptake. So just to give everyone a bit of an idea about what's going on is, so basically 1894 Group and MCFC Food Bank are clubbing together. And what we're going to do, we're going to get a member of the 1894 Group on soon to have a conversation about this, but I want to try and give it a very quick and dirty version of it. The Charity Shield was pitched on a Sunday at a 5:30 kickoff, which is fantastic for Arsenal, because Arsenal are down the road, 2 tube stops away, all the rest of it. For City, like we've all done, and we've all done in the past, and we probably will do in the future, travel down to London on a random Sunday. Charity Shield games, I see the Charity Shield games I take the kids to. There's no way I take my kids to the United game or any big finals or anything like that, because I just probably just concentrate on it. So I see the Charity Shield as an opportunity to go down. That's impossible for me with childcare situation and children's situation, as it is for many others. So the idea was to put a boycott in place for the FA and ITV to basically say, listen, City are in a position now where we go to a lot of finals at Wembley. You can't push us around. You can't keep saying to people, right, we're going to go down. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. We have to have a stand as fans at some point and say, enough's enough, guys. We can't carry on doing this. We can't go down to stupid o'clock. They could have put that game on a Saturday at 3 o'clock easily. No other games on in the country. No excuse for policing, nothing like that. But no, they don't. They want to put it on 5:30. Anyway, after a few consultations with the police, ITV, they moved it very kindly to 4 o'clock. Again, not a great thing for me, not a great timeouts for me, and we were trying to get it to 3 o'clock. That's been kiboshed now completely. So what 1894 is saying is, do you know what? They've set up an event at Band in the Wall in Manchester, where it's a live screening, and anyone would like to donate potential money that they would pay to go to the Charity Shield to the MCFC Food Bank, which has raised thousands and thousands of pounds in the last 2 or 3 days. So fair play to both these organisations. My own stance on it is, I'm with it, I support it. I hate the idea of not going to City. I hate the idea of not supporting City and being there, because I would have gone. But I also hate the idea of TV companies and the FA just taking the mick out of us because we're there every season. They've got to listen to the fans more. They've got to listen to us as a club and say, actually, do you know what? You've got to make it fair for us, because we're going down. We are lucky enough. God, Dave, imagine me saying this 20 years ago. City are lucky enough to go down to Wembley once a season, twice a season potentially. Yeah. Just because we're there, and so as a club that goes down there a lot, surely we need to have a say on when decent time is for kicking off, not just putting us in when they feel like it's good for them and the ITV viewers, because they're not watching Coronation Street or EastEnders or whatever on ITV, whatever crap it is. I'm very honest with that, and I don't mind my opinion with that. But what are your two thoughts on it? I've seen a lot of people saying you support your club through thick and thin. We're there, we're everywhere. We heard the song, Dave. We chanted it in Istanbul. Follow you everywhere. So I don't. What are your two opinions on this?
Dan, you're a little bit closer to home than me, so I mean, you're Yorkshire boy. What do you think?
Yeah, the Yorkshire man. I categorically 110% agree with the boycott, because it's what they've done to put it to the food bank. That is genius, rather than out of goodwill nature. Yeah. All that money, you're still watching City. You're with a group of fans that would have gone down to the game anyway. I would put every penny I have to be at least 5 or 6 players in that City team, including the likes of Phil Foden, who's a Manchester lad. They'll be thinking, if I was a fan, I'd be doing the exact same. Because it is taking the mickey. It is nothing but sponsorship money for the FA and the TV companies. It's a ridiculous time. Arsenal fans, of course, aren't going to kick off because, like Tom said, 2 tubes away. Half of them could skip to the stadium. It's that simple for them. But they've got to understand, it's all well and good saying, well, City are at Wembley once, twice a season at least. It means a lot more money being spent. And if you're going to marginalise the whole club that's there more times than any other team, you're going to lose a lot of revenue. So they've really got to start thinking that themselves. And I know someone's going to come back and say that the tickets that don't get snapped up then will get passed on to other football fans or conglomerates or something like that, business corporations and what have you. Tickets will get sold, but it's a standpoint that, as a fan personally, I do not find any fault with it. If it was pushed back to Sunday at 1 or 2 o'clock, I might make the exception. But like Tom said, stick it at 3 o'clock on a Saturday. Everyone can then have time to get back on a Sunday. You're not missing out on work the following day, so you're not losing money. It makes more logical sense. We've been down to London and beyond, i.e. Southampton, Portsmouth back in the day, at 3 p.m. on a Saturday. There's, like Tom said, there's no other games. What's the issue? And if anything, there's more people watching the game because it's Saturday night.
What is the ticket allocation, Tom? What were City and Arsenal fans given?
It was similar percentages to the FA Cup, which it's not 50-50, is it? We kind of got, was it 35%, 40% of the stadium?
Yeah.
Remember?
35.
So you're getting about
35,000
seats.
I would think about 35. What's going to happen?
Okay.
What's going to happen is, if you remember, so basically Wembley seats obviously all different prices. Expensive seats are normally behind the goals in the first tier. They're obviously the good seats. All the cheap seats at the gods in the tops at the backs where I sit. And what'll happen is everyone will get the cheap seats, so they'll sit up at the top. So people that are going, I've got absolutely no problem with any City fans that go. I've got no issues with that whatsoever. You've got to make your own choice in life. But what'll happen is all the expensive seats around the goals, around the bottom tier, will all be empty. It'll look horrible on TV. I hope it does. Anyway, I hope it puts the point across. I hope everyone does. If they do sit in the gods to make the point known. And I see a lot of people having a whinge and a moaning about, actually, you've got to support your club, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. But actually, you've got at some point, fans unite. I mean, look at fans in Germany. They don't like something, they'll all stand up and walk out. And you know what? Before you know it, they'll get what they want. And it shouldn't be down to City to do this, because it could be anybody. This could be anybody. This could be Leeds. This could be Newcastle in a couple of years once they've built their team. This could be a lot of big teams. Hopefully not United that end up doing this from the north. So we've got to start it somewhere, and I hope we do get support from other teams in the south. I really do. They probably don't care as much because obviously it's just down the road for them, for the Chelsea's, Arsenal, West Ham's. But I do think in my heart of hearts, real football fans would understand what we're trying to do and why we're doing it.
I agree.
Right.
What happened to the whole thing, when England were going around the country, and playing
that was great. That was
Stadium of Light and whatever, and the FA Cup semi-finals used to be at Villa Park or Old Trafford, or whatever. What? I mean, Dan's right. This is just money. What is wrong with us saying we're going to start playing these games, around the country? Why does it have to be London?
£10 a pint.
Bloody time.
£10 a pint.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous. It's so much money. So much money. Right, we're going to end this here, lads, for this half. We're going to take a little break for 5 minutes. We'll come back on. And we've got a few more things to talk about. Who we've got to talk about? We've got Calvin Phillips, more questions from people that have written in. And we've got a few more conversations to go in and around that as well. So, see you in 5 minutes, guys.